Okay, welcome back. This is Monty. This is the environment where I'm recording as I take my typical 5 mile walk. Okay, this is the typical one of the typical routes that I walk, and I get to exercise and get some fresh air, get some sunshine. I haven't recorded a video in a while about the traditional economy, the Bitcoin economy. Excuse the wind noise. I tried to get out of the way of the traffic, but can't escape the wind. Anyway, we'll do the best we can. So getting right to it, as far as I can tell, there's a lot of appetite for Bitcoin and what it represents. People in TradFi seem to be very much interested in having some sort of hedge, having an alternative to what they're finding in the traditional economy as far as the fiat is concerned and the way it behaves in markets where, in a situation where your government constantly prints out more and more fiat. Unfortunately, Biden's $1.2 trillion spending bill that was just passed is going to devalue fiat a lot more. So we're seeing a huge appetite for people who need to hedge against the decrease in purchasing power for U.S. dollars. So you guys may want to take a look at that and try and figure out what it is that's attracting so much capital. Since the 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved almost a couple of months ago, it seems like there's a humongous appetite again. We only have $12 billion to $15 billion, and I say that sarcastically or sarcastically, because that's a lot of money, for about 7 or 8 weeks to have that much money flowing into the market, the Bitcoin ETFs overall. That's a lot of money. So facetiously, that is a good amount of money, capital that's being spent on those Bitcoin spot ETFs. Ever since Gary Gensler's hand was forced by a federal judge to allow these products to trade. So again, you guys may want to take a look at that and think about what kind of signal that's sending to the establishment, the status quo, the people who are benefiting from the Cantillon effect in Washington, D.C. If you're a J.P. Morgan Chase, if you're a Wells Fargo or HSBC or whoever those players are, traditional players, you get access to almost free money and very hot off the press fiat money. But as that money works its way through the economy, it becomes worthless. I mean, almost literally worthless, since at least 95 or 96%, if not 99% of the purchasing power of those hard-earned fiat dollars goes towards zero. Okay, that's why you guys have to rush out there with your fiat dollars and literally run to the gas station, run to the grocery store, run to spend that fiat before it actually becomes worth less. I mean, zero. So again, now we finally have an alternative. Typically, when you in history, the history of fiat of currencies overall seems to indicate that when you have a hard currency, you have what's known as Gresham's law, where good money drives out bad money. That means you get your hands on fiat as much as you can, you work for it, slave for it, do whatever you have to do, and then you spend it. So you literally go out there and throw it into somebody's hands to get rid of it, while hoarding your Bitcoin. And the reason why we know this occurred is because we go into the blockchain, for instance, or we do analytics on the blockchain, or we just look at money flows out of exchanges like Coinbase and Binance and Kraken or whoever. We can clearly see that people are taking their money off of those exchanges and they're putting it into their hardware wallets. So as those hardware wallets become more and more popular and people become more and more educated, they're going to take Bitcoin, even from BlackRock, even from Fidelity, even from ARK, even from Invesco, and they're going to put that money, at least a portion of it, into their hardware wallets. So get educated, you guys, in terms of what the hardware wallets represent. I like Treasure, the Treasure, Trezor, Treasure hardware wallet, and I also like CoinKite, the CoinKite hardware wallet at the Mark 3 or 4 should be fine. Those are very good hardware wallets. So, understand what self-sovereignty means. Take your money, put it in your possession in your hardware wallet. That way you can travel all over the world. Like me and my wife do we travel all over the world. We just came back from Kenya and Africa, and we'll probably be taking a look at some other destinations, maybe Antarctica and some others. But we can literally take our wealth with it wherever we want to go, and no one will be the wiser. Okay, you can't do that with fiat and all that, because they're going to be financial entities that want you to report what you have and where it came from and what you're doing with it and all that. Gold, people who like gold, they can't do that. It's not exactly portable. So anyway, when you have your hardware wallet, when you have your currency in a hardware wallet, for instance, it's digital actually, and that hardware wallet just basically allows you to get access to your funds. It's not actually housing your funds. So someone could take your hardware wallet, destroy it, and you'll just use your private keys and such to load your Bitcoin onto a new hardware wallet. So you understand? So in other words, as long as your Bitcoin is on the blockchain, that's where it's located. But the hardware wallet is just simply an interface that allows you to get access to it. And the blockchain is basically a public ledger that no one controls. Okay, me and my wife and our fellow Bitcoiners, we don't have to worry about Powell and the other federal board governors talking about what interest rates are going to be and whether or not we're going to have a strong dollar, weak dollar, any of that, because we don't need to trust in strangers to dictate how our currency is going to be, how it's going to play out, whether that's going to be strong, weak, whether or not we have to think about a high interest rate environment, low interest rate environment, whether or not they're going to print a lot more money or whatever they're going to do. We're separate and distinct as far as the way we handle our finances. We don't have to be impacted by all that. So you guys probably going to have to think hard and long about whether or not you want to take advantage of this alternative, because as far as I can tell, there's $35 trillion in debt, and the fact that $1 trillion is going to be what you're going to owe every 100 days. They're going to add $1 trillion to the federal deficit every 100 days or so. You can't even pay the interest on the debt, let alone tacking on additional amounts, because maybe you'll be in a high interest rate environment at some point. So anyway, your government services, your infrastructure, communications, healthcare, telecommunications, all these things are going to suffer as a result of not being able to deploy more government funds or taxpayer funds into the areas where it's supposed to be, where it needs to be, like healthcare, like telecommunications, like infrastructure, roads and highways. All these things, they need money, but you can't allocate money into those areas if you're wasting it on debt financing. If you have to pay high interest on your debt, that means more and more of the capital, or more and more of that money is going to be spent on servicing the debt, not paying off the principal, but just servicing the debt. So anyway, a lot of countries, a lot of prime ministers and presidents and different people outside the United States are starting to understand, look, we need to get away from this dollar regime, and we need to take a look at other alternatives, whether it be gold, Bitcoin, whatever thing. The BRIC nations have their own ideas, but everybody is starting to de-dollarize. And once you start de-dollarizing, and once that momentum gets going, you're going to see the dollar become less and less relevant. Okay, it's not going to go away anytime soon, but it's just going to become less and less relevant. People are going to say, you know what, I'll use the dollar to do some immediate purchases or transactions, but I'll save the hard currency. I'll make sure that my Bitcoin is put away, and I'll save that for for the long term. Okay, that's what I'm going to use for my retirement. That's what I'm going to pass down to my kids. That's what I'm going to will to my that's my generational wealth. But the fiat, the dollars, that'll be what you spend and get rid of as much as possible, if not totally exchange as much as possible into Bitcoin. So anyway, the traditional economy is having some issues. The banking sector is continuing to look at situations where the commercial loans and the regional, super regional banks, they're going to be looking at writing off tons and tons of commercial real estate loans. Okay, that situation is going to play out over at least the next 2 years, whereby more and more commercial properties, the borrowers are going to walk away from the properties, turn in the keys to the banks. The banks are going to be straddled with tons and tons of commercial real estate. And that's going to cause a lot of regional banks to completely look to the government to rescue them, or allow them to be merged and bought up by the likes of J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, et cetera, et cetera. And the private equity markets and private credit markets are probably going to be looking at helping the government try and save the economy. Because the likes of Carlyle and Blackstone, a lot of those guys are in bed with the government. So between the private markets and the government, you won't be able to tell one from the other as these rescues have to take place. So they're basically going to be putting a Band-Aid on a heart attack victim or a person who needs triple bypass surgery. They'll be given Band-Aids by the government and the Treasury, which you can't even tell one from the other anymore. The Treasury and the Federal Reserve, they look like the same entities. They're literally trying to keep the bond markets from imploding. But with $27 trillion of debt and bonds being out there outstanding and issued, the cumulative amount of $27 trillion, that is not going to be good. That's more treasuries than anybody ever imagined that's being out there, and which nobody wants to buy them. You don't want them. I don't want them. Nobody wants them. The foreign governments are cutting back on purchases. So that means they're going to stuff treasuries down your throats. You'll have treasuries in every portfolio, your retirement accounts, wherever they can force them on you. They're going to try and force you to shoulder the burden by purchasing treasuries and getting treasuries. You'll be eating treasuries for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As far as I can tell, that's going to be the trend, because it's just way too much debt, and they got to think of creative ways to get rid of, to put that on the burden of the taxpayers. And think about the universal basic income as part of the strategy. Think about CBDCs as part of the strategy. They'll probably come out with a crisis, tell you got to use the CBDC, tell you that part of your CBDC is going to entail treasuries as well. So between them forcing CBDCs down your throat and telling you got to use treasuries and have that part of your portfolio, it's going to be pretty pathetic, okay? But I'm telling you right now, be aware of it and be prepared, because if the government gives you a universal basic income, it combined with some sort of central bank digital currency, they'll be able to compel you to spend, when to spend it, what to spend it on, when, all these different things, and monitor you. And they'll be able to micromanage the economy and your finances with a central bank digital currency. So remember, a lot of this is well researched and well anticipated and well documented. Go to my site or go to my Facebook page and take a look at the articles and follow the links back to my blogs and articles. Do keyword searches when you get to the articles and find out just about anything you need to know. The database is becoming pretty huge, the database of information in terms of what I'm talking about here. So there shouldn't be any reason why you can't find articles and videos and different things on all of this information. So get educated, stay informed, protect your family, your family's wealth, and make sure that even if you need jobs or something, I've been posting a lot of information about Bitcoin related jobs and such. So there shouldn't be any reason why you can't earn a living, get paid in Bitcoin if you want, and do quite well, because this is the time for opportunity. Sometimes things look bleak at the same time where there's a lot of opportunity, but just usually a matter of perspective. Okay, do you put your head in the sand and hide out, or do you look for opportunity and take advantage of them, even in situations where it looks pretty bleak and pretty dire? Anyway, health, wealth, and such, they go together. So if you're not healthy, you can't spend your wealth. If you don't have any wealth, then make sure you understand that you take care of yourself so you can think clearly and be prepared, and again recognize opportunity and be ready to pounce on opportunity when it's time. So focus on your health, focus on your wealth, your spiritual well-being also, and good luck. I'm going to wrap this video up and finish my 5-mile walk, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, you guys stay safe and take care, and we'll talk to you later.